Hey everyone, welcome to the video. Let's go over the 6-game NBA slate for today on Draftkings. But before we continue, as always, if you guys could just leave a like, and if you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. And also follow me on Twitter at Pennell16. If for some reason you want to follow me on Instagram, not a lot of whole cool things going on over there, but I'm at CPen16. And if you want access to my Patreon exclusive content, you can hit the link in the description below, and it'll take you to my Patreon, where you can get access to my entire NBA spreadsheet that I build every single night for the NBA season, working on it all day, update projections throughout the entire day, all the way up until lock, and even after lock if there's some big injury news, do my cheat sheets, my core plays, my projections, my data sheet, and my Discord chat where you can bug me as much as you want. All that's available in the link in the description below, and I also have MLB coming up pretty soon, and I also have NASCAR coming up next month, which it's February 1st, I believe, in 2 days, so you can sign up on there if you want NASCAR. Very excited for that, and you can also do my all sports package, which is listed on there, and you can save a couple bucks. So check it out if you're interested. And without further ado, let's get into today's slate. And actually, I always say that before I actually want to. I want to talk about last night's slate really quick before we get into it. That had to be one of the lowest scoring slates of the entire season. I actually got into the cash line with a 239 score, like I'm doubling up right now. I have 239.75, one of the lowest scoring nights. Sometimes you can't even cash up with 340. I believe that was last night. You had to have like 330 to even get close to doubling up. Tonight, 239. I mean, all the chalk just absolutely sucked. Mike Conley at 13.5, James Harden at 34, Pirtle only at 23. Very low scoring night all around. There's, obviously some guys did good, but man, that was one of the lowest scoring nights of the season. I think the winning lineup in my GPP, I'll check it right now. 304. So I mean, yeah, only 304 score. Just one of those nights where it was extremely low scoring. Hopefully you guys got above 239, because if you got above 239 in cash games, you probably doubled up your money. So congratulations. But yeah, crazy night. But I mean, it's just because chalk didn't go well. It's not like, that's just how it goes sometimes. If chalk does good, scores are gonna be higher. Simple as that. But let's get into today's slate. And I gotta say, DraftKings is doing a pretty good job of pricing players correctly, because a lot of times we just get free squares. I mean, I can't really blame them for the Bucks free squares the one night, because we didn't know that Giannis was going to be out at all. But they've been pricing players pretty well. They priced players really, really well last night. Our best value option was Mike Conley and Rudy Gay, and that's never really fun. I mean, Rudy Gay ended up working out, but Mike Conley, I mean, he kind of did what you'd expect. He failed you with 13 points. I mean, we didn't really expect much else from Mike Conley, but that's just how the slate goes sometimes. You have to play some uncomfortable plays. But again, they did a pretty good job with pricing, but not a lot of top tier spend ups, I think, that are like too interesting to me. So our highest price guy that I'm going to talk about is Bradley Beal at 9,400. So there's a lack of value options, but highest guy I'm looking at right now is 9,400. So it kind of evens out a little bit, makes things a little bit easier. But Bradley Beal, he has been on absolute fire the past 4 or 5 games. He's had at least 50 points in that stretch. In the past 2 games, he's played over 37 minutes in each game. So the minutes are good to go. We don't have to worry about that anymore. Got him for over 35 minutes here, and honestly, he's got an upside of near 38. So gotta have some interest in Bradley Beal here, going up against a Charlotte team. Now, I will say Charlotte is a much worse team down low than they are versus guards, but really don't care about matchups too much when it comes to Bradley Beal, because for the Wizards to be somewhat competitive in any game, Bradley Beal's got to have a lot of points. I think he almost had 50 points, real life points in the last game versus Milwaukee. And if we head over to the DVP chart, if I can just move over this tab really quick. Do this every video, I forget. Oh my gosh. Okay, it's fine. Anyway, so DVP chart, Charlotte, they happen to rank 5th versus point guards, but 18th versus shooting guards. So it actually is a plus matchup for Bradley Beal. As you can see, they're terrible down low. But again, like I said, I really don't care too much about the matchups with Bradley Beal. And we also know that these Washington Wizards games tend to be pretty high scoring, because they are awful defensively and they play at a fast pace. As you can see, they're the 7th fastest pace of play team in the NBA. But the thing I don't like is they're playing Charlotte, who is dead last in pace of play. So I don't like getting guys in that big of a pace down spot. But still, Washington should look to push the pace here on the season. He's got a 33% usage rate, 1.3 points per minute. I'm totally fine with going with Bradley Beal. Now, I kind of prefer Joel Embiid a little bit more at 9,300, but Beal's fine in tournaments. You could also play him in cash games. He's just been playing very, very well. He's had a couple of tough matchups too, but he has excelled in them. So Bradley Beal, you could certainly look his way in all formats. Joel Embiid, he's not going to play as big of minutes as Bradley Beal, but he's also better on a point per minute basis. And also, the big thing here is, besides the matchup, which I'll talk about in a second, Al Horford is listed as questionable, and then you also have Josh Richardson out as well. So with both of those guys off the court, if Horford happens to miss, I still like Embiid if Horford's in, but it would obviously just boost my likings for Embiid if Horford's out. But with both of those guys out, Embiid got a 33% usage rate and is at 1.54 points per minute. And if you look at his numbers on the season, really doesn't change too much. He's got a 31.9% usage rate just in general and a 1.52 points per minute, so it really doesn't make too much of a difference, but I think the minutes would be a little bit more safer. Not like it's really going to be a big of a deal anyway, but the thing here is he is really cheap, and he is facing Atlanta, the worst defensive team in the entire NBA. It's also a pretty nice pace-up spot here for the 76ers. They're ranked 19th in pace of play, and Atlanta is 5th, and if we head over to our DVP chart, as you can see, Atlanta is all the way up top as the worst defensive team, and they're ranked 26th versus centers. They have absolutely no one that could contend down low with Joel Embiid. So certainly have a lot of interest in Embiid, and as of right now, he's my favorite spend up on the slate, and he's only 9,300, so it's not like it breaks the bank either. Whoops, I'm all over the place. So definitely have some interest in Joel Embiid. Ben Simmons, he comes in 8,900. Again, this is just getting some exposure to the 76ers versus Atlanta. They're just so bad defensively. And if Horford happens to miss the game, and obviously Josh Richardson will be out, Ben Simmons has a 22% usage rate, and he's at 1.2 points per minute on the season. Also, if you guys got a sneak preview of projections, they mean absolutely nothing because it's the night prior. I haven't even loaded the Vegas totals in, so don't look at those projections that just appeared up on the screen. They're not finalized at all. Still have a lot of things to get put in place to actually make the real projections. So just throwing that out there. And they'll probably change throughout the day anyway. But Ben Simmons, I mean, it's Atlanta. You got to have interest here. I mean, like I said, worst defensive team in the NBA. They rank, whatever you want to call Ben Simmons, they're 19th versus point guards, 30th versus small forwards. I mean, literally one of the best matchups, if not the best matchup you can ask for. So Ben Simmons certainly on my radar. But if you guys are new to the channel, I do have a bad history with Ben Simmons. I just never really have luck with the guy, but he's going to play all the minutes he can handle. He should push for close to 40, and he's at 8,900. It's not a bad price tag, so you can certainly look his way. His price has come down a little bit. Pascal Siakam, so Marcus Gasol is going to be out, so that kind of even boosts him a little bit more, and he's had 2 pretty good games in a row, and he gets a really nice matchup here versus Cleveland. Had a great matchup last time out versus Atlanta. He crushed, and I forget who the last matchup was before that. Can't remember. I don't think it was the 76ers, but he had over 50 fantasy points. But Siakam going up against Cleveland, one of the worst defensive teams in the entire NBA. If we head over to our DVP chart, they rank 19th versus power forwards, 21st versus centers, and they're the second worst defensive team in the NBA. Only thing I really don't like is that they play pretty slow. They're a 26 pace of play team, so it's a pace down spot for the Raptors, but they're just so bad defensively. And on the season, he's at 1.2 points per minute with a 29% usage rate. But with Marcus Gasol off the court, Siakam has a 32% usage rate and is near 1.3 points per minute. So Siakam, he should be fine here. He's been playing pretty well recently. The minutes will be secure, so definitely have interest. Now, the only problem I would have with wanting to play Siakam is that there is blowout risk, but I don't like to project guys for blowout risk. So just in a vacuum, Siakam is a very good play. Now, I do have the Boston Celtics players listed here because I'm not sure if Jason Tatum's going to end up playing. If Jason Tatum plays, I really don't have too much interest in any of these guys because they're all kind of priced out. But if Tatum's out, you can certainly look their way because they all get boost. Now, I didn't write all these down because I've been saying it pretty much in every single video, but just know that Kemba Walker's going to get a boost, Gordon Hayward's going to get a boost, as will Jaylen Brown. I believe Gordon Hayward's at over a 23% usage rate and about 1.5 points per minute with Jason Tatum off the court. Kemba Walker's got over a 30% usage rate and is at a little bit over 1.3 points per minute with Jason Tatum off the court. And then Jaylen Brown's a little bit over a point per minute, pretty much kind of the same thing. So all solid plays, and it's a great matchup here versus Golden State, specifically for Kemba Walker here because Golden State is terrible versus guards. As you can see, they are the 4th worst defensive team in the NBA, and they're ranked 29th versus point guards. So second best matchup you can ask for Kemba Walker. Would certainly have interest if Jason Tatum is out. If Jason Tatum's in, they'll all become like fringe GPP plays for me just because they're all priced out. Devontae Graham, so he kind of was a weird wild card play on the last time he played 2 days ago because he was rolled in all day and then he had the illness pop up and say that he was going to be out about 15 or 10 minutes before lock, and then about 5 minutes before lock they said he was back in. So I don't know, that was weird. He ended up having one of the worst games of the entire season. I think he had like 10 fantasy points, absolutely sucked. So I can't see too many people being on him, but this is an elite matchup versus Washington. If people are willing to give him a chance, I don't mind it because, everybody and anybody usually crushes versus Washington, one of the worst defensive teams in the entire NBA. And if we pull up the DVP chart, they rank 26 versus point guard, so you really can't ask for too much of a better matchup. Only guys like Cleveland, New Orleans, and Golden State are really much worse versus point guard. So love the spot here. And on the season, pull it up here. On the season, he's at 1.05 points per minute with a 25% usage rate. So definitely got to have some interest in Devontae Graham. Think he's a pretty solid play on this slate. I'm sorry, I paused the video really quick. I think I said Golden State. I meant Washington, and I was getting confused because I was looking at the pace column, and I was seeing 7th in pace of play, and I was like, I know Golden State does not play that fast. So I had to pause really quick and look over things. Yeah, they're playing Washington. I was getting them mixed up. And Washington, elite matchup here. It's a nice pace-up spot for the Charlotte Hornets. We know that they play very, very slow. We already went over that when we talked about Bradley Beal. So you get a huge pace-up spot here for the Hornets. Devontae Graham, he's got blow-up potential. We've seen 60-point games out of him this season. We've seen also lower floor games, so he's more of a GPP play for me, but you can certainly look his way. Fred VanVleet and Kyle Lowry, pretty much the same plays here for me. Now, I do prefer Kyle Lowry just because I think he's going to get more minutes, and I just feel a little bit more safer with him, and you save a little bit more dough. But we'll talk about VanVleet first because we like to go in orderly fashion here in terms of salary. So he comes up first, and it's just an awesome matchup versus Cleveland. I already showed you guys the DVP chart, but they rank 20th versus point guards, 30th versus shooting guards. So literally the best matchup you can ask for Fred VanVleet. And on the season, FVV is at 1.06 points per minute with a 22.5% usage rate. I mean, really can't complain too much. I think he's going to probably get you close to 40 fantasy points, and we've seen upside of more. So Fred VanVleet, definitely on my radar versus Cleveland. Kyle Lowry, I think he's the better play between the two just because I think the minutes are going to be a little bit, secure, and he's averaging more minutes per game in the season anyway. And he's also at 1.08 points per minute with a 23% usage rate. So pretty much everything indicates that we should probably play Kyle Lowry over Fred VanVleet. VanVleet is more the GPP play. Lowry, the better cash game play, and probably the better GPP play just in general because I just want to play the guy that's going to score the most points on average, and I think that would be Kyle Lowry here. And like I said, I already showed you guys the DVP chart. Cleveland ranks 29th or 28th versus point guard, so bottom 3 versus the position. Definitely a great spot for Lowry. He almost triple-doubled in the last game versus Atlanta, although I believe he did get pulled early because the Raptors were up quite a bit. So again, I do not have the Vegas total out yet for this game, but I have to imagine the Raptors are probably going to be double-digit favorites, and so there's a little slight concern for that, but again, I don't like to project blowouts because anything can happen in NBA. Gordon Hayward, I kind of already touched on that. It's just a really good matchup versus Golden State. I already went over this Kemba Walker, so I'm not going to repeat everything. Same with Jaylen Brown. Again, these guys get boost, but if Jason Tatum's in, these guys are priced out. They're kind of already priced out anyway. I don't think they're must-plays even if Jason Tatum is out. They're just more better GPP plays, and if Tatum's in, I mean, they're just really fringe GPP plays, unless you just really want to pick on Golden State, which I get, because they're one of the worst defensive teams in the NBA, but they are priced up, so not a lot of interest. Donovan Mitchell, he's been playing pretty well the past 3 games, and they dropped his price down to $7,200. He's been around $8K. Now, it is a bad matchup versus Denver, I will say that. If you ever head over to the DVP chart, we have 2 of the better defensive teams in the NBA facing off. We have Denver, which is top 10. I'm not sure what that is exactly off the top of my head. I'd have to count, but I don't want to count and bore you guys. And then Utah is the 4th best. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a more slow game here for sure. And Denver does rank 2nd versus shooting guards, which, Donovan Mitchell. So not a good matchup, but I do like the price dump that he got, $7,200. And I mean, the guy's got upside. I mean, even despite matchups, he can still have a good game anytime he's on the court. And like I said, it's probably going to be a slower game. We have the Jazz are 26th in pace of play, and the Nuggets are 28th in pace of play. So as you can see, this is going to be the slowest pace game on the slate, probably by far. I mean, this is going to be a really slow game, good defensive game, so I can't see a lot of people going towards Mitchell, but I think he'd be fine in GPPs just because his price came down. He should be a little bit more expensive than $7,200, and on the season, he's at 1.14 points per minute. He's got a 31.2% usage rate. You can certainly look his way in all formats, but I think he's better suited for GPPs just because of the matchup and the pace. Because I like getting guys in good game environments. I think that's kind of one of the more important things that I look at throughout the day because, if your player's in a good game environment, more points are going to be scored. There's just more opportunity. Serge Ibaka, he's going to benefit from Marc Gasol being out. And with Marc Gasol off the court this season, he's already been pretty good just in general, 1.13 points per minute, 24% usage rate. But with Marc Gasol off, he's at 1.11 points per minute, so it doesn't really change too much. It actually drops him a little bit, but I think in general that would usually boost him. So we're going to look past that a little bit. And then he's a 25% usage rate. So the usage rate goes up a little bit, but I think he's still a very good play. Again, facing off versus Cleveland, one of the worst defensive teams in the entire NBA. And he had a really good game last time out. Last game, I should say, versus Atlanta. And Cleveland, they rank 19th versus power forwards, 21st versus center. So Ibaka, I think he's fine. Now, do I like paying that much for Serge Ibaka? Not really. 7,100 is a bit much, but I still think he's a pretty solid play. Tobias Harris, I only have interest in him if Al Horford happens to be out, because if Al Horford's in, I just don't have a lot of interest there, especially with Joel Embiid being back. But if he's out, Tobias Harris has a 28.7% usage rate, 1.13 points per minute. That'd be a pretty good play, in my opinion, versus the worst defensive team in the NBA. And they rank dead last versus forwards, 30th versus small forwards, 29th versus power forwards. So we could certainly look Tobias Harris's way. We know the guy's got plenty of upside. He'll play all the minutes he can handle. Again, blowout risk is certainly there, but I don't like to project blowouts. So Tobias Harris, if he gets 35 minutes, he should be a pretty solid play for 35 to 40 fantasy points. Will Barton, again, I don't want to really I'm not too in love with this game just because it's going to be slow. We got two good defensive teams facing off. But $6K, this is the cheapest he's been in quite a while. I was looking through the game logs and I couldn't see him being below $6K for a long time. So Will Barton at the price dump, I don't mind it. Now I got him projected for about 35 minutes, which is kind of on average. And if we head over to the advanced statistics here, he's averaging 33 minutes per game, so I think that's a fair assumption. And he's been close to a point per minute this season, 0.96 points per minute. So if you just give him his average, he should be able to get around 35 fantasy points. I'd say anywhere from 30 to 38 fantasy points is probably in the realm of possibility. If he's hot, maybe we get close to 40, but that's a little bit wishful thinking. But I think he's definitely a safe bet for over 30 fantasy points, and at $6K, that's not too bad. He's got a 20% usage rate. Again, the matchup's pretty sucky, but not a lot of good value plays on this slate, so we might have to play some more uncomfortable plays than we usually want to. Kind of like last night when we had to play Rudy Gay, Pirtle, and Mike Conley. So sometimes we have to get a little bit uncomfortable because DraftKings has been pretty efficient at pricing recently, which makes for, I think that's probably better when their pricing's better because then you don't have everyone. It's not like just some big 2v2. Like last night, it was just the 2v2. That's not on DraftKings. They did not know that Giannis was going to be out, but everyone had the same exact lineup besides like two people. So I hate when it's a big 2v2 because then the variance is a lot higher. But, when these slates are priced pretty efficiently, we don't see like lineup trains. So I actually do prefer it this way. But Troy Brown, so Jordan McRae is going to be out, and he's actually been getting a lot of minutes. I think he's had 30-plus minutes the past two games, if I remember correctly. I'm being a little bit conservative here with less than 30, but he's got upside for more. And on the season, he's been at 0.92 points per minute. Like the matchup here versus Charlotte, they struggle versus forwards. Again, it's a pace-down spot for the Wizards, but these Wizards games tend to always be pretty high scoring. Charlotte Hornets are not a good defensive unit. So you can look Troy Brown's way, just more of a lineup filler at 5,600. Thomas Bryant, he bought out in the last game. He had over 40 fantasy points, and he played over 30 minutes, so that was nice to see his minutes come up. I got him for 25 right here. Just, I think that's more conservative. Does he have 30-minute upside? Yes, just depends on how the game's going, but he should be able to, when he's on the court, he should be able to smash here. Charlotte's just so bad down low. As you can see, they rank 29th versus centers, 27th versus power forwards, so this is a top three matchup for Thomas Bryant. And he's pretty good on a point-per-minute basis. He's at 1.06 points per minute with a 19% usage rate. Not too bad for someone that's 5,200. I actually think he's one of the better value options on the slate as of right now. And as you can tell, that means our value options are pretty slim if Thomas Bryant's one of our better value options. Cody Zeller, you could look his way just because Washington's so bad defensively. Big pace-up spot here for the Hornets. Now, his minutes can be pretty sporadic, but he's averaging 23 minutes per game. I got him for 24 as of right now. And he's about a point per minute guy in the season, so I think he's a safe bet for close to 25 fantasy points, if not more, because this is an elite matchup here. I have to assume this is going to be one of the higher Vegas totals on the slate. Should be pretty back and forth. Both teams are pretty awful defensively. I believe the Wizards rank 27th versus center, so the matchup's pristine here. So you could certainly look Cody Zeller's way. Patrick Beverley, it's just because he's cheap. I don't love the spot here at all versus... I shouldn't say I don't love it at all. It's more of an okay matchup versus Sacramento. I believe they rank 13th versus point guards, if I remember correctly. Yeah, 13th versus point guards, 24th versus shooting guards. But they play slow. But he's just really cheap. I got him for about 30 minutes here, and on the season, he's at 0.91 points per minute. I think he's okay. He's more of a lineup filler guy. I'm not too excited to play Patrick Beverley, especially considering that Paul George is going to be back, so the band's kind of all healthy. But I was running out of guys to list, so I just threw on Patrick Beverley here just because he should probably grade as a decent point per dollar option. And Bogdanovic, he crushed last night. Now, he didn't get full run because he didn't play the last 5 minutes in this game because they were getting blown out. Or he could have had like 40 fantasy points. I believe he ended the night with 35. I can pull it up really quick. So, man, I just checked DraftKings again. They keep changing the points. I bet it was James Harden again. Because I was at 239 and now I'm back up to 240. Yeah, it was James Harden. They keep changing his points. I don't know what they're going to do. Hopefully it's not affecting you guys too much. That's not really doing anything for me because I'm enough in the cash line. But I'm sure that's a little stressful for those of you that have James Harden. You keep going in and out of the cash line. That's got to suck. So hopefully they figure it out soon. They got him for 37 now, so they bumped his points up about 2 or 3. So if you have Harden, it's working in your favor. If you don't, it's not working in your favor as of right now. But we were talking about Bogdanovic. He ended up scoring 35 fantasy points. Did not get a full allotment of minutes, so he's playing very well, though. 23 points, 1 steal, 2 assists, 3 three-pointers, 5 rebounds. Now, the matchup wasn't that great either versus OKC, but he's just so cheap at $5K, and now they dropped his price to $4,800. I think he's probably going to be one of the more popular plays on the slate here. And it's actually a pace-up spot here for the Kings. The Clippers play at the 9th fastest pace of play, and the Kings are at 24, so I think a nice pace-up spot for a guy like Bogdanovic shoots him pretty well because we know the guy's going to shoot the ball a lot, so there's going to be more shooting opportunities because there's going to be more possessions available on the season. He's at 0.93 points per minute with a 23.6% usage rate, averaging 28 minutes per game. I think he's a pretty solid play, 4,800. I'd have to imagine he's going to grade out as a good point per dollar options in most people projection systems, and he does for me as of right now as well. Now, the matchup versus the Clippers, it's not great because you got Paul George and Kawhi Leonard out there, so Patrick Beverley's a good defender. But sometimes you got to look past the matchups because the slate, we do not have a lot of options, and I'm trying to find where the Clippers are versus. So they're 13th versus small forwards, 11th versus shooting guards. So like I said, it's a tougher matchup, but this is actually a better matchup than it was versus OKC. OKC ranks 3rd versus both positions. So I think Bogdanovic is going to be fine here. 4,800, it's just a little bit too cheap for the guy with his kind of upside. Marquise Chris, so they traded Willie Cauley-Stein to the Mavericks, so that just opens up more minutes. And the guy scored at least 20 points in the past 4 games at least. If I can remember, it might have extended even more. But I got him for 25 minutes tonight, which I think is pretty fair. Going up against Boston, they're going to be without Enes Kanter. And I mean, I don't love the spot, but Boston does rank 8th versus centers, 16th versus power forwards. I think he's going to be fine. He's close to a point per minute guy on the season. 1.09 points per minute, so he's actually been much better than a point per minute, better than I realized. 18.9% usage rate. The guy's got upside. I'll never forget the one time I faded the guy, and he happened to be 70% owned. I played Spellman instead. It was not the right move. Chris got like over 40 fantasy points. It was nuts. I'm not saying I expect that, but that just popped in my head. I mean, he just absolutely killed me. But he's 4,500. I think he's got 25 plus fantasy point upside, which is, if you give him 25 minutes and you just take his 1.09 points per minute, I mean, that would suggest he would get it. So Marquise Chris, someone to keep on your radar. And Tybal, I think I'm saying that right. Tybal. He's 4,400, and again, this is only if Al Horford's out because Josh Richardson's going to be out as well, and I could see him getting close to 30 minutes in this game. Now, he's pretty bad on a point per minute basis. He's only at 0.69 points per minute with a 12% usage rate, but this is a great matchup versus Atlanta. I think he could fall his way into 20 fantasy points, and you'll take it at 4,400. Again, not a lot of value options on this slate, but that's going to be the last guy we're going to talk about. But before we get out of here, I do want to talk about the sponsor, OverlayDFS.com. Alright, so if you've been watching my videos, you know what this is already, but if you're new, this is OverlayDFS.com. It's a very fun, casual website to be playing on. It's more suited for the casual player. You don't have to worry about sharks in here. There's no shark-infested waters. You don't have to worry about guys like Chipotle in here, max entering. It's more a casual environment. It's just a straight pick-em website. It's as simple as it sounds. If you thought Hassan Whiteside was going to outscore Clint Capella, you picked Hassan Whiteside, and he obviously really outscored him. If you thought Sabonis was going to outscore Rudy Gobert, you pick Sabonis. If you thought Fox was going to outscore Buddy Hield, you pick Fox. It's as simple as that. I can't make it any more simpler than it sounds. And if you happen to if you place in the top 10% of the contest, you win 9 extra money. So for example, this was a $22 double juice contest. If you happen to finish in the top 6, which was the top 10% tonight, if you had to go at least 9-3 on your picks, you won 9 extra money, $22. That'd be $180. And Also, if you happen to go 12-0 on your picks, they give you like a pool of close to 20 players, and you pick your 12 favorite matchups. And if you happen to go 12-0 on your picks, the jackpot keeps rising. It was at 5K a while ago. Now we're all the way up to, like, it's probably going to be up to 7,800 tomorrow. If you happen to go 12-0 on your picks, you will win that jackpot. As you can see, that's right below that 12-0 record. Like tonight, it would have been 7620, over $7,000. And it's a legit website. They do pay you out whenever I withdraw. I usually get it at least within, like, last night I withdrawed. I happened to place in the Double Deuce contest. Withdrawed at about 12:30 a.m. I ended up getting my money around 2 a.m. So they pay you out quick, and it's into my bank account. I'm not talking about into your account balance on the website, in my bank account in less than 3 hours. I'm not saying it's going to be as quick for you guys, but in my experience, it's never been more than like 15 hours. So they do pay you out quick. It's a legit website. I wouldn't recommend this to you guys if I didn't play it myself. They're also running a slump buster challenge. So if you happen to lose 20 days, not in a row, but if you just happen to lose your 20 days total, like consecutively, so like say you lose 1 day a week for 20 weeks straight, they will refund every single dollar that you deposited. So they're pretty much daring you guys to lose. So check it out, overlaydfs.com. It's a very fun website. I play on it pretty much every single night. Like I said, would not show this to you guys if I didn't play it myself. They got good people over there. Check it out, overlaydfs.com. There's no promo code. You don't have to tell them that I sent you. Just sign up and have fun and play. You can supplement it with your Draftkings. And if you need help with who to pick, you can use my projections, which is what I use every single night. That might not be a good example because I went 6-6 tonight, but I've had a lot of success here over here on overlaydfs.com. So check it out, and that's going to be it for this video, guys. I hope it was helpful. If it was, remember to leave a like. If you're new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button. Really helps me out. Really appreciate it. Follow me on Twitter, Pennell 16. I got to get some sleep. So I'll see you guys in the next video.